Good day, viewers. Welcome to another edition of 30 Minutes, the interactive program of Trust Television. My guest today is Senator Abdullahi Adamu, the chairman of the ruling All Progressive People's Congress, the APC. Senator, welcome to the program, though you are not new to it.
Thank you for having me. Thank you for having me.
Yes. You are sitting on the hot seat of chair of the ruling party, and this is just a few weeks after you got into that position. There was the national primaries, where it doesn't appear as if your own candidate emerged as victorious. What is your own interpretation of what happened there?
I'm not quite sure what you mean by my own candidate.
Well, because you were said to have hinted the National Assembly members that the Senate President, Ahmed Lawan, was the chosen one, and it appears that you were disowned.
No, I don't see it that way. It is true. After consultation, the best I could as chairman of the party, at the appropriate levels of the party, we had reason to believe that that was the best at the time, and that was motivated partially by the decision of the PDP to field, former Vice President Atiku Abubakar, and they have been upbeat with the issue of President must go to the South, President must go to the South, and we do know, as a matter of fact, you and me know this, that the PDP is predominantly more entrenched in the Southeast and to some extent South-South.
You indeed used to be a member of the PDP and was governor.
I was not just a member. I was a governor of the party.
Yes.
I was also the secretary to the board of trustees of the party. Anyway, that aside, when they had their convention, to everybody's surprise, they chose to have a northerner, and in the person of Atiku Abubakar, and that sent some shock waves to them. And it's expected. It was natural. These guys who have been upbeat the issue of having a president going to the South, and this is where the base of their party is. They've chosen that. What do we tell our voters?
But your voters are not just in the north,
yes. No,
they are also in the south.
Of course, but the preponderance of that vote is here in the north. There's no doubt about it. So we had to have a rethink immediately and try to respond to that. And after due consultation, we thought that was the best way to go. And it is in the place of the party, not any other person, because the flag bearer is the party's flag bearer. So it was for me to make that public, and I did. I didn't talk to the National Assembly. I talked to the members of my National Working Committee. They are my first base. And I consulted with them, and the same day I consulted with them, some governors came up and said, no. They want to go to the South. And they only say so, they placed the committee to writing. And in the process, that brought some pandemonium. And I know that if every one of us wanted to stand his or her ground, we will have catastrophe and cataclysm, as but we will call it.
That is within the party.
Within the party,
yeah.
And we could easily end up with some implosion. I didn't want that to happen. And
so you ate the humble pie and kept your cool?
No. I didn't. It went right through the convention. Went through the convention. They wanted me to withdraw my statement. I said no. I was not going to withdraw my statement.
Was it the governors who wanted
and when the president now said, whoever wants to contest should go, and contest, let it be open. And there was nobody. So we went to the convention, and it's now history. Our candidate, Swaju Bola Tinubu Ahmed, won clean primaries. He won. And immediately he became successful, I and the president handed him over the flag of the party as our candidate. The following morning, I went to his house with all members of my working committee to pledge our support And I assured him the party has spoken. And everybody, each one of us now stands up for and with the party APC. And that has been our lot since then. And I will continue to do that until election. And by the grace of God, we will win.
So you mean your initial position on the primaries didn't affect or isn't affecting your relationship with your presidential candidate now?
Not at all. Well, I can speak only for myself. As far as I'm concerned, I led the delegation of all members of the working committee to his residence in Abuja here, and we pledged our support. Absolutely, 100%. It is our party, and it is our desire to win, and we cannot win with a divided house. So we give our honor, our word, which is our honor, and we are living by it to this moment, and I will continue to do so until the election. And by the grace of God, we are working with him to win.
Did you feel kind of betrayed that here you were speaking the position of the party, or what you considered to be the position of the party, you are more or less disowned?
At this level, Manir, at this level, we don't talk of betrayal. All right? This is the highest level, the hierarchy of the party. And we have to bring the level of maturity that we have, to bring the level of manners that we have for providing leadership. And if it meant swallowing my words, yes, there's nothing wrong with it. But I know as I would lay dead alone, and in my grave alone, it wasn't my own personal decision. We did after consultation, due consultation. But the position of the governors probably came and affected whatever position that I had believed was the position that we were all working for. And that's all part of history.
Did you think the governor's position is because of their own interest in maybe either getting the position or that's one of them, or having more influence?
I'm brought up to bury the hatchet as much as I can. And I don't like opening old wounds. Whoever did whatever within his conscience know what he has done. I've done my best as leader, as chairman of the party. In the end, the party decided this is the way, and I pledged my support and I go along that line. Whoever did whatever, it's history as far as I'm concerned. We have a presidential candidate, and I don't want to go beating about the bush on the issue. Bola Tinubu is our presidential candidate. He has brought his running mate. We are all supportive of what he has done. We have unveiled the vice presidential candidate and working together.
What about the issue of reconciliation? Because before you became the chairman of the party, you were chairing the efforts to reconcile members, and I believe that there is need for more reconciliation now.
I agree with you totally on that. Reconciliation is always a work in progress. When you are dealing with human beings, not one person, not 10, not 100, not 1 million, and there are inbuilt, misunderstandings, some of them driven by ego, no more, no less. Some of them driven by the fact that maybe somebody feels he has not had a fair deal, or maybe with our kind of politics of Muslim, Christian, Hausa, TB, Fulani, that kind of thing. That's the level of the politics. That's the reality of our policy anyway. Or somebody comes from the south, another comes from the north, someone comes from the east, that kind of stuff. These issues have their own problems that they throw up. And anybody who believes that at any point in time there's no problem, he has problem. Yes.
So are you solving the problem then? I mean, in terms
like I said, it's a work in progress. I've said so clearly. Right. That means that we are working at it. We continue to do so the best we can.
Because just a few days ago, it emerged that a nephew of the president, who is representing the president in the House of Representatives, has resigned from the party. This is the latest of so many resignations from the APC by people who feel maybe disgruntled because of the primaries.
Everything has time. You have time to come to the world, you have time to leave the world and go to the unknown. In the same way, there's a season for what we are seeing. Once there is primary, some people are bound to feel offended, maybe because they've not got what they want, which is human. It's natural. And that's one of the reasons why the issue of reconciliation is a continuing process. Now, we are not equally gifted with the issue of the spirit of reconciliation, patience. Sometimes we talk of God, we believe in God, as Muslims or Christians. Sometimes in the end, we don't accept what God has done, unfortunately.
But given
and so it behoves on the leadership to continue not to be tired of making efforts to reconcile those who may have feel offended. But like I said, in this process, you can only reconcile the reconcilable.
So given the symbolism involved, nephew of the president and leaving the ruling party, don't you think there is big political capital you are handing over to the opposition?
Sometimes you people in the media, you give this thing the kind of credence sometimes it doesn't deserve. I have seen as chairman of this party, and even before I became chairman of this party, I have seen in my career as a politician in this country, I have seen two brothers, same father and mother, going to two parties. All right? It's nothing new. All right? If this guy is a nephew of the president, and Nigerians have bestowed this much confidence in the president and have elected him, have confidence in him, and the nephew will feel the best, if he doesn't get his own way, is to rebel and go some other way, good luck. And you can't force it.
Will it be the same with other big guns, maybe members of the National Assembly, your former colleagues in the Senate, who are feeling disenchanted?
You will recall after the primaries, there were a lot of noise about people leaving the party. I took it upon myself to get to the National Assembly and to talk to the caucus of the party in the National Assembly. And because I am the leader, the chairman of the party, I took it upon myself to take the blame. And I apologized to them. This is a human endeavor. I am not perfect. And none of you I'm addressing is perfect. We have to have some level of tolerance between and amongst ourselves as to what is happening. Some of the issues that arose as a result of some of you lost election are not my making. Yes, but as leader, I take responsibility for them. And I owe you a duty to see the best I can to reconcile. So the reconciliation is continuing. Those who are patient to wait, they can have something that will not be total losers in this thing. We are in government. There are possibilities. There are opportunities that can come one's way. But I believe very strongly that they rather tread on the side of caution and be patient and go in this way. But for me, it's nothing new.
So is it your impression that the worst is over as far as the primaries and what follows?
Like I said, we're in the season for it. Up till now, there are opportunities. Some candidates are withdrawing, due to this kind of reconciliation efforts that are going on both at the national level and the state level, and where they accept, okay, the guy is not the person, we prefer to have B instead of A, and B is willing to withdraw voluntarily from the candidate that is given to him, then we have a new primary, and the person who probably has been negotiated to be the best in the circumstances has an opportunity.
Who is currently the candidate in Yobe where the Senate President is, wanted to...
The matter is in court, and I don't want to comment on it.
Okay, it's still in court.
But as far as we are concerned, we have the name of the current Senate President, distinguished Senator Amilawan. But because the matter is in court, I won't say more than that.
Okay. On that note, we go on a short break and resume in a minute. Welcome back. It is 30 Minutes, the interactive program of Trust Television. My guest today is Senator Abdullahi Adamu, the national chairman of the ruling APC. Before we went on the break, we were talking about the fallout of the primaries. So maybe now we should begin to go beyond that and look ahead. I mean, there are people who are currently suggesting that with the role of the Labour Party, the NNPP, that's the Kwankwasia Party, and the likely impact of even all the rumpus within the opposition PDP, that there may be a run-up in the election, that this may be one time when neither the APC nor the main opposition party, the PDP, may win at the first ballot. Is that your thinking in the ruling party?
That clearly is not my thinking. The APC is working to win the next election, 2023 election, and by the grace of God, we will win. But if it had ordained thing by Almighty God, that there will be such thing you call a runoff, we take it as we get from INEC. INEC is the authority on this, an independent outfit that is in charge of organizing the elections, and there are the electoral guidelines given by them and the electoral law passed by the National Assembly. Whatever happens, we just take a look at what the provisions are and we'll go by them. But if that is the fortune of the country in 2023, that there is some kind of runoff, so be it.
So, but at the moment, it's not in your responding, it's not in your calculations at all.
Absolutely, we are working to win.
Is that,
look.
Is that not a sign of overconfidence?
Sometimes, I don't call it overconfidence. I do know we're working for victory, and God is going to give us that victory by His grace. The problem we have is because we have to have the right attitude of listening. We listen to this kind of comments. All right? Because we're in a democracy, all right? Freedom or whatever, we concede the rights of individuals to hold their views and groups to hold their views and express them the best they can. And we respect the views once they are so expressed. If they express through the ballot, so be it. But some of these things, some of these noises, I call them democratic sound of democracy. And you people are best at it. You know, you have a way of building a huge edifice out of a mole. You get me? I accept the fact, listen to me. I accept the fact that, yes, NNPP as a party is registered, fully recognized. I like it or I don't like it, they are there, they exist, and they will contest election. All right? All right? Yes, they will take some votes off us. There's no doubt about it, because some of the guys that are there now are supposedly...
you used to be in all one camp.
Yeah. Some of them were in PDP. The leader was PDP. He left PDP to form this. Because of the conflict we had in Kano, we expect that there will be some ripples. We expect there will be some repercussion. All right?
And I'll be foolish. Sort out the Kano mess.
I'll be foolish not to think there will be. In the same token, with Labour Party, somebody who lost out in wherever he is, he decided now to go and take. He was a former governor, he would give his identity, and he took the Labour Party and then he gave them some lifeline, if you permit that language. We appreciate this. He would take votes off PDP, Labour Party, was predominant around the south-east, maybe south-south. You can't deny that as a reality in politics. And as electioneering politics, you can take that out this season. But I don't believe that will be substantial enough to rob so much so that our party, the APC, with a membership of 42 million Nigerians registered, and not every one of them is registered. Some of them are not registered out of the 42. These are the real ones captured in the register. Now, we do have problems, no doubt about it. I'll be deceiving myself if I say that no problem is APC.
This is almost like a replay of what happened under CPC, that's the party of President Buhari, when there was no clear decision, when Kano was his for the taking, his parties, and they lost it, and it appears is a replay again.
Take it from me that by the grace of God, who made it possible for us to be leaders of the party today, that probably I'm talking about before the election. We are 6 months today to February, in fact 7 months to February, and I do believe that we are going to resolve that problem, and we'll have, by the grace of God, one single candidate for the APC, and we'll win by the grace of God.
But some, the way you are talking, Mr. Chairman of the APC, will say you are like out of touch with the way Nigerians are feeling. There is a lot of dissatisfaction with the way things are. because of insecurity, because of lack of economic opportunity, because of the high cost of living. Don't you think these are enough reasons for people to rebel against the ruling party?
I wish I can give you the toga of PDP or Labour Party or MPP instead of sitting with you here as the moderator of this program. To be honest with you, there's no doubt in the fact that there is discontent. But this discontent is driven by the kind of comments that you have just brought forth. No party, no government known to me, and I'm sure to the honest you that I know, has no such problems. The government is always on the receiving end of public opinion. Take it from me. There are some moments, excuse me, there are some moments that no matter what you do, the opposition, so to say, is the underdog. And because it is labeled as underdog, every cry from them becomes the order. It's spread, is carried forth as the order. And to that extent, the party in government is disadvantaged. I am not saying by this that we don't have problem. We do have problem, like any government.
Nigerians
but the
feel
fact
they have
is,
never had it so bad.
The fact with you people in the media, with due respect, is that you rather take the negatives. Where there are positive things that the government has achieved, you have problem inherent in your practice. Not to recognize that, let alone propagate it. All right? For instance, APC, what they call them, PDP, was in government. You know it, I know it, for 16 years. School children were having problem of feeding, food. This government has introduced that school feeding program for how many years now? Take it, how many children who are going to school are getting fed? That's no issue. Hold it, please. That's no issue with you. Hold it.
What about the parents who cannot eat?
Hold it.
Because of the poverty.
Hold it. See, if you ask the question, have the patience for me to reply, to respond to you.
Right.
So that will do justice to the interview. Okay? That is positive. The infrastructure development taking place in this country has not taken place over the last 20 years until Buhari came to this administration. Take the number of roads, highways in this country that have been either rebuilt or rehabilitated. You and me know that on the path of truth. Take the Nigerian railway. It was more than dead. People that came after you in secondary school would not know talk railway, maybe they only see in the textbooks. Don't know it's a railway in Nigeria. The railway is again back on track in this country.
But all this is granted. Nobody is disputing this.
But why don't you talk about it also, so that while you talk the negatives, you also talk the positive? Why do you always not see the positive side of government? You only see the areas that, yes, that's the one you hit and hit and hit and hit. And help the opposition in their campaign. And give them issues even when they're able to think along this line.
If I can build on even the examples you have given,
yes.
The railway now, we've seen announcements that they've all been shut down because of insecurity. The Lagos-Kano line has been shut by the Ministry of Transportation. We know the case of the Abuja-Kaduna one. It's been shut for months because passengers on it were abducted. They are yet to be freed. And then back to the school feeding. Yes, some children are getting fed, but the parents and the generality of Nigerians are having difficulty eating.
What do you make of the social intervention program that this government has brought forth?
Probably a great program, but then it's limited because it's only a small number of the affected people that it will reach.
Alhaji Manir, no government in the world, take the biggest economy you know, the most successful economy you know in the world, they have paupers to date. You may talk in terms of relative number, I will not argue that, but you don't talk as if this issue of success is absolute. It's a desirous end. You can only achieve this to the level that your circumstances permit you. Here you are talking about what the government has done, what the government has not done. You have not taken a look at the source that government have to be able to implement some of the things that talking about. Nobody's talking about them.
No, but there's a huge debt overhang. Nigeria exited foreign debts, is now back in there. Now we have a situation with the finance minister coming out to say all our revenues, when you put them together, you have to borrow some more money to just service debts. So these are.
I remember very well in the program I had with you here, I told you, and I thought you believed me, that I have no quarrel. The issues you make about the government borrowing. Government can borrow from here to eternity. American government borrows. Canadian government borrows. United Kingdom borrows. France borrow money from the World Bank and such other institutions. Nigeria is no exception. What I quarrel with, if the money is not used,
for a purpose.
And the infrastructure we're developing across the country is from these sources. You have also to appreciate the fact, probably more than I do as a media outfit, the level of revenue according to government. And oil is the main thing.
And the industrial scale stealing of that oil.
We want to see how best we can diversify. And some of these issues that affect the revenue according to government, it's not our making, no matter how good we are. They happen. When the so-called developed countries sneeze, we catch cold. You know that, I know that. The Ukrainian crisis now with Russia is having its impact on our economy, and even in bigger economies than our own. You know that, I know that. So why do we limit ourselves with our thinking in terms of, yes, this has to be done, but how and circumstances of doing that is not an issue with you people.
Can I ask one brief final question, and I hope I can get a brief answer? Your former colleagues, members of the National Assembly, are threatening to do what was unthinkable 7 years ago, that's to impeach President Buhari if within a certain time he doesn't do something new in terms of the security. Does that worry you, or you think somebody said it's just like a big joke?
The hearing of it normally should worry me as a leader of my party, as chairman of the party. But it's one thing to say something, it's quite another to do it, to be able to do it. All right? I know when this thing was going on as part of the heat for those who did not get what they wanted. And then they now capitalize on the pressure from the opposition, to the extent that some of them even went along with the opposition to be heard. And we've had them.
That's the members who lost the re-election chance, their primaries.
Yes, on the forefront. I don't want to call names here, but they were in the forefront. They supported the opposition. It was an opposition drive. And now there's an alibi in their respective closets, as members who couldn't get what they wanted, and to put the blame on the party and the government. And so they as if in a kind of spirit of rebellion, they decided to act along with the opposition. But I think...
Will you take disciplinary measures against them?
No, not necessarily. You see, we take every issue on its merit. And it's not for me to come on television here and say something, okay, we'll take. I am more offended by what some ministers do than what the National Assembly members do. They are elected, and they have a mandate, which I respect. I was there, I was with them, I was their colleague. And I know situations get thrown up, and you get this kind of reaction from them. But if you take that a match with what is happening with some ministers of government, the role they play in creating more problem for the government, I'm more offended by that than what a National Assembly member who is elected does something. I have been there, I know why they do some of these things, and we know how to take them on that as sponsors. But I respect their views.
Thank you so much.
Know that it will just come to pass by the grace of God.
Thank you so much, Senator Abdullahi Adamu, Chairman of the ruling APC. Thank you for answering our invitation.
Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure.
Viewers, that's the end of this edition of 30 Minutes.